Hi folks, it's Pastor Russ. I hope your week's going well. I wanted to touch base with you again today. We are in the midst of Holy Week now, even though we're still not meeting because of this virus. I'm still praying that everyone is well and safe, and hopefully this ordeal will soon end for us. We need to keep praying, of course, for everyone who is suffering, for those in the medical profession especially who are dealing with the sick and the infected. We also need to pray for our leaders, that they make wise choices and that they don't turn this into politics, but it's that they're just doing what's best for us as a nation. We have a couple things special planned for the rest of this week, so I wanted to give you a heads up for about some of those things first here today. I do plan to do something special for Holy Thursday and Good Friday. We typically in our church hadn't done anything on those days, at least since I've been pastor there. I've been told that nobody comes to those special services, so we haven't done them. However, since I'm coming to you and you can't come to the church, I will do something on both of those days related to what they mean to us as Christians and what Jesus did for us on those days. So please stay tuned for that on Thursday and Friday, and then please don't forget something special for Easter Sunday. Now let me give you a little bit more detail now. I've been kind of teasing you about a special surprise. What my goal is to have a live stream Easter sunrise time for everyone in the church. If I can work out the technology that I can do that, I've got a space on my farm where I have a few on my hillside where I have a couple crosses, 3 crosses erected, and I want to be up there very early on Sunday morning. I think we'll start about 7 a.m. I've just got to confirm the time of the sunrise. I think that's going to put us about right when the sun would be coming up. It's weather dependent, of course. If it's cloudy, I'll still do it, but it won't be as dramatic, of course. But as long as it's not pouring down rain that I can be up there, I will. It's supposed to be cold, but I don't care about that. So we'll give you something special for Easter sunrise. I'd like to do it live. We've never tried that before, but we're going to give it a try this year with this, see if we can get the technology to work for us. So please look for that on Facebook, the church Facebook page. We're going to see if that'll work. I'm also going to video it like I do these so that it will be available for people who want to watch afterwards. Or if the live stream doesn't work, we'll still have a recording of what we do. So please spread the word to family and friends. That will be Easter sunrise around 7 a.m. Please check the Facebook page, and hopefully you can be part of that. And there'll be more information as we get closer with that too. So let's talk about Jesus this Holy Week. I mean, we tend to make a big deal about Palm Sunday, which we should. And then most churches will skip right to Holy Thursday with the Last Supper, and then Good Friday, and then of course Easter is the climax of Holy Week. But what else happened during that time? I mean, Jesus enters the city, he's there for a while, and then he leaves again on Palm Sunday. But what we see from the scriptures, and if you want to do more reading on this, you need to look at all 4 Gospels have accounts of what happened. Matthew 21 and on, Mark 11 and on, Luke 19 and on, and John 20 or 12 and on. You can see events that happened between Palm Sunday and Holy Thursday. We know that Jesus spent Monday and Tuesday of that week in Jerusalem during the day, in the temple area during the day. Wednesday is a silent day as far as they've been able to reconstruct the timeline of the Gospels. There's nothing mentioned that Jesus does publicly or even with the disciples on that day. And then the story gets picked up again, of course, on Holy Thursday for the Passover and the Last Supper. But in those 2 days, what would be in our timeline, yesterday and today, Jesus was very busy. He was in the temple. He was telling many of his final parables, very pointed parables, challenging people to believe. He also had several go-rounds with the various Jewish religious leader groups who didn't like him, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Herodians, and they challenged him and tried to trap him into saying things, and of course he twisted their arguments around on them. We also see during this time period he pronounces 7 woes on the Pharisees for their hypocrisy and the way that they led people away from God instead of to him. This is also when he, on Monday, when he cleansed the temple, chased out the money changers, overturned the tables, etc. And then we also have a section where on Tuesday he's leaving Jerusalem and heading back to Bethany, where he lodged at Bethany those nights, maybe with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. We don't know, the Bible doesn't say. But he lodged somewhere in Bethany those nights. He didn't spend the nights in the city. So Tuesday, probably sometime later in the afternoon, he is heading back to Bethany, but he stops on the Mount of Olives and he talks with the disciples, and he gives a number of parables and discussion about the future. Some of it is the very end times, and we can read some of those. He also talks about what's going to happen in Jerusalem's immediate future, because he could see that it would eventually be destroyed by the Romans, which happened about 35 years after his death and resurrection. So he's warning the disciples about what's to come, and us, of course, as well. Now, there's too much for me to try to read to you from all of that. So I'm going to challenge all of you, take some time, go through those chapters, and just pick out some of these stories. You know, you have the parable of the talents, you've got the wise and foolish virgins, you've got the king with the banquet, you've got the sheep and the goats. I mean, there are a number of important parables. The cursing of the fig tree happens during that time, and the parable of the fig tree. Number of things are all in that section. It all happened during these 2 days, what would have been yesterday and today in our reenactment of Holy Week. So it's important stuff. Jesus kind of finishes his earthly ministry with all of this information and all of this challenge to those to believe, either those in the crowds who would believe, or his political opponents or his religious opponents who didn't want to believe. So he went out with a bang, so to speak. He didn't back down. Now, granted, everybody is looking, is he going to take over? Is he going to get rid of Rome, etc.? But this is all progressing towards that Jewish holiday of the Passover, and that's, you know, the same time frame. The Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, hits Thursday. The Sabbath, Passover Sabbath, is Saturday, and in between those two events, he dies on the cross Friday, and he's raised from the dead on Sunday. So it's a very jam-packed week with events in the history of our faith and the history of the world. I encourage you to take some time to read through some of those passages, see some of the things he's saying and doing there. Tuesday is also the day when Judas slips away from the group and goes to the religious leaders, the Jewish religious leaders, and makes his bargain to betray Jesus. That also happens on Tuesday. So there are a number of important things that happen, and I think that's some good teaching for us. Again, through this time of not being able to be together, we pray that everybody's well and that you haven't given up hope yet. I'm sure people are getting somewhat bored or stir crazy, but hang in there. We will get through this. The cases continue to go up. We haven't reached peak yet. Even in our own county, we're well over 100 cases now, and I didn't get the report yet for today, but that's, you know, it's going to go up before it goes back down, of course. So please stay safe. You know the guidelines. I'm not going to repeat them again. Do what you can to protect you and your family, and we will come through this, and we'll come back together, and the Lord will bless us for our faithfulness to him. So please keep our family in your prayers too, and we'll keep praying for you. If you have any other prayer requests, please email me, text me, call either of my numbers, and those of you who aren't connected to our church, put a comment below, either on the Facebook page or the YouTube page, and we'll get back to you, or one of the deacons will get back to you about that. And again, for those who do want to hand in their offering envelopes, please just mail them to Donna or one of the deacons, and they'll be processed as they normally would, and you'll get it recorded and credit for that. So thank you for your support, and thank you for listening today, and we will see you in a few days for Holy Thursday.